Welcome back to the Dividend Diplomats YouTube channel, everybody. You got Bert and Laney here at the Dividend Diplomats. We are about to bring you another video talking about dividend increases.
Smash that subscribe button, give Bert and I a thumbs up, turn that mother blue, because you got Bert and Laney here on the YouTube video, and we can't wait to dive into the biggest dividend news from this past week. And Bert's got a big message here. Give props to B for being on.
Yep. So everyone, as you can tell, we are not sitting next to each other as we normally are. Unfortunately, I tested positive for COVID this week. We're feeling great. I'm on the recovery side of things, but not a very fun few days. But in an effort to at least keep bringing you some YouTube videos while we still have some energy, we wanted to hop on Zoom, do a nice shared recording, and talk to you about some dividend increases. So we'll be back together soon in our normal format. So just hang tight with us for a few weeks until we can make sure we can safely record around Laney.
Guys, give big props to Bert. Bert's here. He's cranking it out. He's not feeling great. He's putting on a front right there. I mean, let's just say that this is probably going to be the biggest thing that he's done the last few days. And I mean, let's give prayers out to Bert, his family, as he goes and pushes through the recovery here from COVID. So thanks, Bert.
Oh, thanks, Laney.
We've got 4 big dividend stocks that we want to talk about. Bert's going to kick us off here with what 4 stocks, maybe even ETFs from Vanguard, had announced some great dividend news for you shareholders, and what you can consider for your dividend stock portfolio now and going forward. Bert, you want to start off maybe with the first dividend stock?
Yeah, first it was actually pretty simple the last week. It was a pretty quiet week from the dividend increasing front, pardon me there. We only had, besides the Vanguard funds, we really had one sector that was announcing dividend increases, and it was banking, which we've covered how much exciting news there is in the banking industry of late. So this week we thought it'd be appropriate that the two non-Vanguard ones are banks, in fact. So the first one we're going to head over, it was Service First Bank Shares, SFBS is their ticker symbol. They are an $11.4 billion bank. So they are a large enough bank to offer all of their shareholders and customers any kind of banking service they want, but they aren't large enough to be in that too big to fail category. They're not in that top 20. They're not in that we're pumping out regular stress test category. So it's a great sized bank. Currently, they yield about 2% on their dividend, and that was after their dividend increase. So I know I've talked a lot about this bank. So what was that dividend increase? They increased their dividend by 14.3%. So a very nice, solid 14.3% dividend increase. Their new quarterly dividend is now 20 cents per share. So congratulations to your shareholders. The banking industry continues to remain strong and put that capital to work as the signs of the economy continue to point forward, and banks have more capital than they know what to do with right now.
Huge, Bert. 14.3% Service First Bank Shares. Again, you could check out our latest video that banking is back. Actually, the smaller community banks have done very well, as Bert and I both know. And, we actually come and still work within that industry of the community banking. So these banks, again, stand to do very well. Plus, that second round of economic stimulus is hopefully going to happen. And that just means more, lending and taking in more deposits in for their bank. So first company, 14.3%. Sliding in and staying within the same industry with dividend stock number 2 is Bank First. First Bank, Bank First. Now, actually, the bank is called Bank First, ticker symbol BFC. And they came in with a nice little chipper of a 5% dividend increase. And they actually went from 20 cents per share per quarter to 21 cents. So a nice 1 cent increase from 20 to 21 cent. They're actually not even as big as Bert's first stock of Service First Bank Shares. They're actually just under $3 billion in total assets. And to give you perspective on total asset size, which is how you really rank and look at banks, when Bert purchased shares in Huntington, they're over, and Bert, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're over $100+ billion in total assets.
Yeah, they are a top 20 size bank right now after their announced acquisition. They're insanely large.
Yeah, so, Bank First isn't the first place bank, obviously JP Morgan really takes the helm there. So a very small bank at that 2.6 billion mark. And they're one of those stocks that's in that lower yield category at only 1.23% dividend yield for Bank First. So, sadly, you could probably do much better from a dividend stock to buy standpoint. Your stock portfolio is probably hopefully oozing with better dividend yielding stocks that have at or better dividend growth rates than Bank First. But a 5% dividend increase in a pandemic year, obviously is well received by shareholders. And it just goes to show you that banking is doing well. So dividends number 2, 5% increase.
Yeah, and to highlight that point once again, last week how we featured it was all the large banks were getting all the talk with all their share buybacks to show they're healthy. These are 2 banks here that show you that it's just not the large banks that are doing well. It's the smaller community banks too. And these are the ones that Lanny and I love to follow too. We're all in on the small community banks. So it's nice to see them healthy and they're announcing dividend increases along with the larger banks too.
I love it.
Yeah. Now, number 3, we're going to have to flip the order here because we announced the next 2 things we're going to cover are Vanguard funds. And to be fully fair, Lanny has to be the one to do this one because it wouldn't be right based on his purchasing strategy. So Lanny, you take on dividend stock / fund number 3 that announced the increase.
I'm actually rocking a Vanguard hat right now. Literally pure coincidence. So as you may know from investing with Vanguard videos and the dividend stock purchase videos and blog articles that we've been writing and recording, Vanguard High Dividend Yield is an ETF from Vanguard, ticker symbols VYM. So for the third stock / equity is going to be VYM. And why am I talking about VYM? Well, first, obviously every week my wife and I, we've been adding shares of VYM on a every Monday basis over the last 5, 6, 7+ months as we wanted to stay invested versus trying to time an investment. And what we like to look at from an ETF is what dividend are they paying this quarter compared to last year's quarter? Because every quarter really is different from a mutual fund and exchange traded funds. That's how I usually like to compare funds from a dividend growth standpoint. So VYM actually had a dividend increase from their Q4 2020 dividend versus their Q4 19 dividend. They went from 77.91 cents per share in 2019 to 80.96 cents per share in Q4 2020. So that's about a 3.9% dividend increase on that ETF dividend. Not huge, not small, definitely well above inflation. And that pairs decent with the 3.2+% dividend yield based on the trailing 12-month dividend with this dividend included. So, not too shabby, not amazing, but it was nice that the investments in this ETF are paying off.
Yeah, that's a nice little cherry on top to your weekly purchase strategy. You knew you were getting a strong yield investing in high quality dividend stocks. So seeing a nice little dividend increase at the end of the year, just another sweet little treat for this great strategy. So it'll be fun once that dip.
Or what is that, like grabbing a title belt when you climb up the ladder?
Yeah. Yep, I would say it's got to be close to that feeling, right? It's better than Vanguard seeing you get to the top, reaching for the belt, and then kicking the ladder out from underneath you. But so on to the 4th and final one that we're going to feature today. It's another Vanguard fund. This is actually another one that Lanny owns, but it's not a part of his weekly purchase strategy. It is the Vanguard European focused ETF, ticker symbol VGK. What's cool about them is they are very focused, obviously, in the European stocks. No kidding. But some of their top holdings include, since we haven't featured them much, it includes, you have, Nestle. We've got, Nestle, Novartis, AstraZeneca, Royal Dutch Shell. Well, they got a nice little dividend increase back in here after that cut. Okay, but regardless, outside of them, they're in the lower end of the top 10. They've got some very nice holdings in there. So VGK, what did they do? Using Lanny's method that he outlined there with VYM, they announced a nice 14% dividend increase in Q4 2020 compared to Q4 2019. So that's a huge dividend increase for any of you that aren't taking notice, and that's right in line with some of the best that we've been featuring over the last few months. Now, their forward dividend yield's only 2.1%, so it's not the same level as VYM, but it's still above the market. So you take that yield plus that dividend increase, and it's a very nice job. So Lanny, once again, congrats on another strong title belt grab there for Vanguard.
Yeah, I'm actually on VGK for close to 10 years, I'm sure now, because I wanted, back in my earlier days, I wanted that exposure to Europe or some form of international. And I really haven't added much to this, so I kind of just let it do its thing. And the dividend's very sporadic, but again, using the method Q4 to Q4, solid dividend growth. Bert, you want to round out the four that we just talked about?
Yeah. So let's cover them back up. Ironically, we did not have any from the pharmaceutical sector, so that was probably the first time we've had that since we started doing these weekly summaries. So the first one, Service Bank Shares, they had that 14.3% dividend increase. Bank First had that 5% dividend increase. VYM, the goat of our YouTube channel, I'm kidding. No, that's Johnson & Johnson. We all know that. VIM had the 3.9% dividend increase, and VGK had the 14% dividend increase there. So again, very solid dividend increases around the table.
I mean, and it just goes to show that persevering through this, volatile market, staying invested, if you still continue your ownership in equities, banking, or ETFs, by the end of 2020, you obviously ended up doing very well, not from just an appreciation standpoint, but, dividends are back, and here are more signs. Again, got to give props to Bert here for pushing through. This is the first video that we're doing quarantine style. I wish I had the vaccine with me right here. I could just shoot that up in my arm.
No, of course. I can't wait to. No one's going to be happier than filming in person than me, because that means I'll be able to leave my house again and we're all feeling better. But I mean, thank you, Lanny, and thanks everyone. We're feeling better. At least we're on the right side of getting better. So appreciate it. We're going to keep trying to do our best to bringing you more videos as we can here. So thank you guys. Let us know what you think. Let us know what your thoughts are on these dividend increases. We only covered 2 of these Vanguard funds. Obviously, there are thousands of them, and other places like Fidelity, iShares are going to be announcing their dividends soon. So please let us know how your funds are tracking in. Are you seeing dividend increases or dividend cuts and decreases as well?
If you haven't already, give us a thumbs up here, subscribe to our channel. Well, once we persevere through this, we'll be back in action and in person and in the ring together versus having solo matches here via Zoom. Again, we appreciate you for stopping by. This is Bert and Laney from the Dividend Diplomats. Over and out.
Over and out.